You join me at Blasford Hill Fishery in Chelmsford, Essex. It's a 4-acre gravel pit, it's a day ticket venue, and I fished here a lot growing up. I've been coming here for absolutely years. It used to be a good runs water for sort of low doubles, but over the years the stock has thinned out, and now most of the fish are over 20 pounds, and there's a very realistic chance of fish over 30 pounds. Being that it's small and quite intimate, it's not the sort of venue that you turn up and start spomming. It's more of a boilie only sort of approach, generally with a catapult, sometimes sort of handballing it in the edge, but more of a sort of discreet, minimal disturbance, that sort of style of fishing. We arrived first thing this morning around 8 o'clock, and there was quite a few people fishing. There'd been a couple of 30s out yesterday, and a few of the other guys had caught. So we've got to a sort of a temperature level where the fish are moving around the lake quite a lot. And what that means, it means your location, you know, you have to be right, you have to be positioned in the right spot where you're likely to intercept them. But at the same time, it also means that they're burning energy and they're more readily on the feed. I was sort of torn as in which area I was going to fish. You've got an island at the other end, which for me in the past has always been my banker area and an area that I'm always drawn to. But that being said, a few of the fish that had been caught had come from this end of the lake. I've got a little dot island in front of me that a guy caught 4 fish from in the last sort of 48 hours. And it's like a natural sort of funneling point where the fish sort of pass. So I'm not saying this is me for the next 48 hours, but this is where I'm going to start. I'm going to start in this swim because it's been producing, because the wind's pushing down, but at the same time, I'm going to keep my eye sort of on that island and on this corner because, you know, being that it's a favourite area where I've done really well in the past from before, I just don't want to ignore it. Right then, the rods are in position and I decided to go in with 3 stiff hinge rigs, all fished with yellow essential cell pop-ups. I've got 2 on the island where the guy that was in the swim before me caught his fish. and I've got one out in open water. Now both spots are baited with 10mm essential cell, just pulted out there with a little bit of smart liquid on them, and that's it. The traps are set. You know, at the moment I don't know whether to be confident or not. I've seen some fish in the vicinity out in open water, but I've also seen some fish at the other end as well that always leaves you feeling like a little bit anxious about your location. The guys that caught last night said the fish were most active during the night and in the early hours of the morning. So I think for the moment, you know, it's time to sit and wait and see what happens. You know, probably got a move on, you know, there's not too many people here. So if it doesn't happen tonight, there is going to be an option to move possibly down the bank to our right. Well, just as the light was going and wondering why I haven't caught anything all day, the bite has came. It's come off the corner of the island, the right hand of the two, and there's still a few fish showing in the area, so it's looking good. Get the net. Oh my God. Hang on. Here we go. Got him. That's the first one. Well, we're off the mark here at Blasford Hill. The first one is always the hardest, as they say. Probably an upper double. Done a really good job at the end of the fight of just trying to get in behind some reeds. The water's up at the moment and there's some scaffold poles down there as well. And it all got a little bit hairy at the end, but we've got him in, and good sign for things to come, and enough light to get the rod out perfectly before it goes dark. Well, a pretty busy night all in all. Had an upper double common sort of just into dark. It had been dark an hour or so before we went to bed, and it went quiet. There was loads of fish jumping all over the lake, and then around 4 or 5 o'clock this morning started getting a few liners out on the corner of the island, and then 2 quick takes in quick succession. I've tweaked my approach a little bit, as in I'm running low on the 10mm essential cell, so I've been putting out 10mm normal cell and a few 15mm essential cells, sort of mimicking the same as the hook baits that I'm using. But I think at the moment the course of action is just to keep pressing repeat, try and catch as many as you can, and eventually get through to some of the bigger fish. Well, the biggest one so far, just over 21 pounds, and the biggest of a quick fire brace just before it got light this morning. Rods are out of the water at the minute, so I need to get them back on the spots, a little bit more bait over the top, and hopefully there'll be a few bigger ones to come just yet. For our session here at Blasford Hill, I'm using the new dedicated shelf life boilies from Mainline. Your favourite freezer baits, cell, essential cell and link, now available in new packaging and in shelf life form. They're available in 10mm, 15mm, 18mm and 20mm, perfect for both home and abroad. So why would you choose to use a shelf life boilie over a freezer boilie? Now for me, it comes down to convenience. A lot of the time you're in the quandary of how much bait do you take from the freezer, how much bait can you store in your own freezer, and if you don't use it at the end of the session, can you refreeze it? Now shelf life takes away all of those problems. You can keep a certain amount within your vehicle, take it on your session, and if you've got some left over you can bring it home. And at the same time, for me personally, I like to keep shelf life boilies in the van, so should I see something like a fish show in an area or a spot that I might want to pre-bait, I've always got bait available that's not going to be going off whilst it's in the vehicle. Now, one thing to bear in mind, these dedicated shelf life boilies are not a lesser, inferior bait to the freezer baits. They're exactly the same makeup, just with a little bit of preservative to keep them fresh. Now, wherever I've fished, whether it be in the UK, whether it be on the big waters in Belgium, on the canals, whether it be the big public lakes in France, I've never felt that shelf life boilies are holding me back, and I've always done really, really well when using them. So if you're looking for something very convenient to have maximum amounts of confidence, then I can't recommend the shelf life boilies enough. Well, after recasting this morning, getting the rods back in position, had a small mirror very, very quickly. But since then, many people have arrived. There's been a lot of leads and a lot of bait going into the water. And to be fair, the sun's come out, which, although the carp love the sun and they love to recharge their batteries, it's probably not the best conditions for daytime action. And I think in this situation, with this much pressure on the lake, you know, stacking the odds in your favour is one of the biggest advantages that you could have. You know, giving yourself all the tiny little extra percents here and there that stack up to make yourself the favourite. Now in this situation where a move is not really an option due to how busy the lake is, you've got to try and stack the odds as much in your favour as you can. So the first things first, you know, using the sharpest hook that you possibly can and converting as many pickups into takes. Next, you know, making sure that your casts are as accurate as they possibly can be to the spots that you're fishing. You know, it's one of the fundamentals of carp fishing. Adding a little bit of smart liquid to your bait, you know, a little bit of stopping power, a little bit of attraction moving up through the water column, trying to intercept fish that might be cruising through your swim. And lastly, making sure that you're using a very efficient rig that you've got a lot of confidence in. Now, me personally, I'm using what is a stiff hinge rig, which is a classic pop-up rig, and probably got a bit of a reputation, or has got a bit of a reputation, as a big fish rig, and maybe not one for day ticket carp fishing, you know, for slightly smaller carp, but a good rig is a good rig for whatever situation it is. And the real beauty of the stiff hinge rig is firstly its anti-tangle properties, an extremely anti-tangle rig, and secondly its hooking properties. It's a very efficient rig that sort of turns pickups into takes. My rig is constructed with a 5-inch boom, which is made from 20-pound hybrid stiff. The upright section, or the choddy section as it's commonly known, is made from 20-pound mouth trap, and that is 3/4 of an inch long between the eye of the swivel and the eye of the hook, with a little mini D just to mount my extra buoyant essential cell pop-up that you see there. I'm using a size 4 wide gate, one of my favourite patterns of hook and size. And yeah, like I say, I like to fish my pop-ups pretty close to the bottom, because I think if you fish them too tall, they look a little bit alien, can stand out too much. But when they're fished like this, the pop-up's still standing perhaps 1.5 to 2 inches off of the lake bed, and stands out to a point that I think that it gets taken quicker than a lot of the surrounding free offerings that you may put out, but at the same time it's not so far off the bottom that it's regularly putting carp off. But a very versatile rig that can be used in a whole host of different situations and fished over a variety of lake beds, from gravel to silt to mud to clay to even a little bit of debris. It will always present, always be fishing, and one that will certainly convert pickups into takes. The sun is blazing, and I'll be honest, I really didn't think we'd stand much of a chance until it sort of dropped down over the horizon this evening. But you know, there's been the odd fish showing around that little dot island, and while everyone keeps recasting and rebaiting, I've just sat on my hands. Like, I know the rigs aren't tangled, I know they're presented, I know there's bait round them because I've put it out there, and just by sitting quiet, you know, eventually the bait gets the better of them. Here we go, here we go. Ooh, and then a little slip there. There we go. Get in there. Yes. Another typical Blasford Hill double. This one 18 pounds, and it seems we're on a shoal of the males, but this is fish number 6. And at the moment, in unfavourable conditions, I'm more than happy to have got a bite. All I've got to do is keep pressing repeat, doing everything to the best of my ability, accurate casting, accurate baiting, sharp hooks, and just hope that some of those big fat females turn up this evening. There you go, buddy. Whee. Okay, so we're heading into golden hour. The sun is just on the top of the horizon over there, and the temperature is dropping. It's been a bit of a mixed day really. It was cloudy early on, and then the sun has been out pretty much full force all day. Sat in the bivvy, it's absolutely scorching hot, but sit in the wind, it's an east, northeast, and it's still absolutely freezing. But with the sun being out as much as it has, I'm sure on the back of the wind and in the upper layers of the water, the temperature has probably rose a considerable amount, and I expect that once that sun fully drops, the fish are going to become much more active. We've had 2 fish today, one sort of a little while after recasting this morning, and one sort of this afternoon about 4:30, and nothing since. I've got both the rods back out on the corner of the island, and I've kept one in reserve. It seems to be sort of the same spot around the island that's producing the fish, so this way this one's got a rig ready to go on it, a sharp hook, it's all clipped up, so should I catch one, just be back out there on the spot. But yeah, I'm hopeful, you know, never want to say I'm overly confident, but the fish I anticipate the fish are moving around quite a lot because of the weather that we've had, and once that sun goes down, I think there's a real good chance of another couple of bites. Whee! Another typical Blasford Hill male. It does seem that we're on a little shoal of the smaller male commons here, but a lovely, lovely fish all the same. The rods are back in position, a few more baits over the top, and I think there's still time for one more yet. Well, I did think that the session was over and that the chance of a morning bite had passed. Out the blue, corner of the island's done another one, and it looks to be another smaller male. I can't believe it. We've literally just caught, all the fish we've caught have all been males, all been like cricket bats, but everyone's welcome. There we go, here he comes. Got him. Nice way to end, lovely way to end. Well, the perfect end to what has been a lovely trip to Blasford Hill. A little bit nostalgic for me, having fished here loads as a kid, and I've had a lot of fun. We've been using the dedicated shelf life range and proof in the pudding. They've worked, and I'm sure they'll work at any venue that you take them to. Like I've said previously in this video, they are not a shelf life that has been compromised. They are just as good as the freezer baits with added preservative. So whether you're fishing day tickets like this, syndicate lakes, club lakes, wild waters in Europe, or the commercial holiday venues in France, they will work absolutely everywhere.